Okay, so this is chapter 1, past and present in the healthcare setting. Now remember, at any time you need to, you can pause the video if you need to look over a slide more or anything like that, or take notes. So anytime you want, go ahead and pause. Alright, so let's get started. So I want you guys to take a few minutes to review and familiarize yourselves with the objectives for this chapter. As you can see, the practice of some kind of phlebotomy has been around for a while. Check out these different time frames and how it was used. Historically speaking, there was a lot of emphasis on draining the bad fluids from the body as a cure for many ailments. The following slides, which you're about to look at, show some of the methods used across differing cultures and eras. So you can see that in earlier days, the idea of sterile conditions was not as well fully understood. The whole microscopic world was unknown to people back then. Leeching is actually still used today in some practices. So here's an example of the things that was just mentioned in the previous slides. So go ahead and review the goals and the primary functions of phlebotomy. I want you to understand the difference between a venipuncture and a capillary puncture. Let's go ahead and check that out. This slide discusses the skills you'll need to practice to become a competent and effective phlebotomist. Most of them are, self-understood. As far as credentials go, certification is required by most facilities upon hire, or usually within 6 months of hire date. You'll have to perform continuing ed for the length of your career to maintain your certification. As far as customer relations and diversity, it's very important to be respectful of all cultures and beliefs. Also remember that in most cases, you will be the face of the lab with patients. These are qualities that are honestly essential for any profession, including the profession of phlebotomy. So I want you to take a minute to review patients' rights that you will need to be familiar with. These are just kind of things that are expected of someone of a facility providing medical care. On this slide, the thing you need to concentrate the most on is the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, also known as HIPAA. Patients' confidentiality is of extreme importance. HIPAA will be the governing regulation for the duration of your career. The The following slides discuss aspects of communication. I mean, I could go over them individually, but most of them are kind of inherently known. But go ahead and take a minute to review some of the terms, be familiar. This is a chart that frankly I don't really understand either, so so this slide just talks about some elements of effective healthcare communication. Again, most of these are used in any kind of communication you have, and you're probably already familiar with them. So the next few slides are going to discuss types of healthcare, inpatient and outpatient. Inpatient generally refers to hospitals or nursing homes where the patients are actually based in those facilities. Outpatients or ambulatory services are discussed in the following slides and usually refer to patients at like labs or off-site labs or like their homes, stuff like that. So again, make sure you read through these slides, be familiar with some of the stuff it's talking about. And here's everyone's favorite part of going to the doctor. These slides talk about the methods of payment, stuff like that. Again, it's in this chapter, but as a phlebotomist, it's not like these things are going to be your responsibility. This talks about managed care. Just be aware of what that is. A payment system that attempts to manage cost, quality, and access to health care by the following methods. This slide discusses the role of a case manager in the healthcare process. So go ahead and check that stuff out. Again, these are just general kind of review things. It's not really going to be significant towards your job as a phlebotomist. So this slide deals with kinds of healthcare networks and deals mainly with incentives and means of reimbursement for providers. This is what a hospital is. If you don't know what a hospital is, study this slide. This is the organizational chart of a hospital. Okay, so this stuff will be a little more significant to you in your career. These are the various departments within a medical lab for which you will be collecting specimens for. So go ahead and look over those. Most of these you're probably kind of familiar with at least. If not, you will become very familiar with them. Alright, so this is talking about stat labs, which perform a limited amount of specific testing to increase their efficiency and TAT, or turnaround times. The reference labs perform a broader array of tests that are either too technical or not financially feasible for general labs to perform. Some of the machinery required to run some tests is very expensive, and so if, as a local lab, if you're not running tests frequently enough on that machine, it's not financially viable for you to purchase that machine to run, a few tests a month or whatever. So they have reference labs where you can send specimens to and have virtually any kind of test you can think of performed. Alright, so the final slides are going to discuss various positions within the medical lab. In larger facilities, phlebotomists will generally be expected to perform duties outlined under the CLA, which is coming up in these slides. Specifically in the area of specimen processing, which really is the most important area of the lab. Without the correct information at this step, all testing procedures thereafter lose their accuracy. So there it is, the CLA, as it says there, usually has phlebotomy experience, will be expected to do phlebotomy procedures, but also will be trained in specimen processing. The basic lab testing, not so much. But you do assist the medical lab scientists and the medical lab technologists in ensuring quick turnaround times, and like I said, most labeling of specimens is going to be done by you guys, and that is the most important step in the process of results. Without that stuff being accurate, nothing else matters. Okay, so that's the end of chapter 1.